Welcome to Our Spain Poco A Poco. Hi, Gaetano. How's it going? Buenos dias.
Buenos dias, Tanya. It is bueno. It is very exciting because today is October 9th.
Yes, and we are going to tell you everything that we knew and also found out about this very, very spectacular holiday here in Valencia.
Exactly. I will give a personal experience. When we came to visit the year before we moved here, was October 9th. That was that weekend, but we weren't here the actual October 9th day, but we left October 8th. But a couple days before, we were noticing like festivities going on. And I was like, are we in Disneyland? We saw all this traditional dress. And it wasn't until a year later, I'm living here. And I'm like, oh.
That's what's going on.
And I still didn't know what it meant because I was still new here.
It's a lot. And I will say, I mean, we've talked about this a lot and it is true. I mean, the Spanish will celebrate everything and they do it with grandeur. So it's not unusual to see flags and festivals and fireworks and things happening. But there is something special about this holiday in Valencia because you will start to see a lot of flags that'll being put up between buildings all the way down the street. And I think that is maybe a special thing for this particular holiday. It is very, and they like you said, they start putting this stuff up like a week ahead. It is not something you can pull together in like 5 minutes. So you have to start early. So now you're walking down the streets for the last week or driving down the streets, you'll start to see the Valencian flags. I don't know what they call those ones, like bunting between the buildings where they got a string with all the flags falling off of it.
It's not bunting, but there is a word for them for sure.
I mean, it's a bunting type thing anyway. If it's not, whether you got a string and it's going from building to building with lots of little flags hanging on it, and that's just back and forth the whole way down streets, and it's very pretty. So we can just talk about. There's another holiday.
Yeah, there's another holiday too, right? Because it's not only just the the Valencia Day; it's also the Day of Lovers. So as you're seeing all these flags being put up, you walk by all the pastry shops, and there's these little marzipan treats everywhere.
Good. Yes, if you love marzipan, this is your holiday. Make it to Spain. Make it to Valencia on October 9th. We will get into all of this. So let's start with. Yeah. Should we start with the Valencian Day, and then we'll move on to the other holiday, I guess?
So yeah, I think we should start with why it exists. So you may have heard from us before, or may have known from your own history lessons that Spain was under Moorish rule, Muslim rule, for like 500 years. But in the 1200s, King James, as we will call him, but it is Jaume in Spanish, right?
Jaume? Jaume? Yeah. Jaume. You will see that a lot in different places. That's King James.
Like every street that's not named Joaquin is named Jaume.
I've seen kiosks with that name. I've seen all sorts of things. Yeah, everything. Rightly so.
Mm-hmm. And so the Muslims had ruled for 500 years, and he came and he conquered or reconquered Valencia. But what's interesting about him is, not rare, this has happened, but he became king at 10 years old. Now, mind you, he wasn't pillaging and plundering at 10, but he was...
He might have been. Who knows?
Who knows?
In the name of.
Royal brats.
In the name of, right? Yes. So he came... They came from the north, and there was the Battle of El Puig in 1237, which is a very little town just north of Valencia City. And they had the victory there, and then they were basically preparing to, enter and conquer and get a hold of Valencia City.
And he has always wanted Valencia. I guess that was kind of the history too. That was one of his goals in retaking. He had his sights on that to get it away from other crowns of the area trying to come for it as well.
I think it was a very big city back then. So it was a very major take if you could get Valencia, obviously. So it was
they had the silk, they had the trading, they had all the stuff going on.
I mean, not that it's not a major city now. It is. We love it. But back then, it was definitely a clear victory if you had Valencia, for sure. So this was the goal.
And so, this was the goal. And while they were camped outside the city trying to take it, the legend is that a bat flew into the tent and got got messled up in all their weapons and drums and things and caused a commotion and woke them up, and a guard alerted them that a surprise Muslim attack was going to happen. So it became a good omen or whatever, and since since has become a symbol of the city. Later, another king had made the bat.
Bats everywhere for everything, and that is why we will get into that in another Poco A Poco. So we will leave that one there as a teaser. But you will see bats everywhere. Put a pin in that bat.
To be continued.
To be continued. So in 1238, after months-long, blockade involving multinational Christian armies, and they also had a fleet of ships from Barcelona coming down and getting it from the Mediterranean side, they managed to conquer, I guess is the word, Valencia.
Well, I think they conquered, but I think it was more of they starved them out, right? So it wasn't like they didn't do it with weapons. It was they denied them access to food and service or whatever, whatever you need. Nothing could get into the city. So once their supplies ran out. So
a surrender, that's a conquering, I guess, of sorts. So the Moors in Valencia therefore surrendered on September 28th, 1238. And that was what created a situation where King Jaime would be able to then come in, which happened later.
But what's really interesting about the surrender, too, is that they gave them time to leave the city. It wasn't like they were expelled, and they were, but they had time to collect their belongings. It wasn't like they were instant, I don't know if refugees or lost all their belongings. It was very peaceful.
Well, you say that now. Who knows? I doubt it was peaceful. Okay, I doubt it was pretty, let's just say. But that is what happened.
No one was happy about it, for sure.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, let's not call it peaceful, because we weren't there. We'll say that there was a time period between the surrender and the entrance into the city by James I. And that triumphal entry happened on October 9th, 1238. So there was a little bit of time in between, absolutely. And that became the day that is considered the birth of the Kingdom of Valencia, and Valencia as we know it today as a Christian Spanish part of Spain, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And they've been celebrating it since 1338 after the 100th anniversary. So that's when it became the holiday, right? And it is a symbol, this holiday is a symbol of freedom and coexistence and definitely Valencian pride.
Absolutely. And therefore that explains all the flags that are put up and those symbols. And I think that a little bit about the Valencian flag, I suppose.
Most of the region, not most, all of the regions in Spain have their own flag, and they all have the kind of like similar color schemes and things that I've noticed, right? And they're kind of derivative of the main Spanish flag. Yeah. But the Senyera, which is the Valencian flag, has red and yellow stripes. And then at the one side, there's a blue fringe with a crown, which represents the royal gratitude. And the crown wasn't added until the 14th century by King Peter IV of Aragon, who granted the city of Valencia the privilege to use the royal crown. So I guess, that's nice. That made them feel special.
I'm sure. And it is a pretty flag. And like you said, it does look like a little bit like the Spanish flag. It's not a complete departure, and it's pretty, and it's everywhere. It is definitely, and especially on this day, it is the decoration of choice for pretty much everything.
Right.
And
if I can do a selfless plug, if I may,
sure.
If anyone has noticed, the Spain logo represents these colors as well.
That's true. Yes. Not an accident.
Not an accident. Well, why don't you go, since you're married, why don't you tell us about the Day of the Lovers? Because this is a barren holiday for me.
Okay, so I can almost guarantee that I will not be getting any marzipan for this holiday, because I'm pretty sure that Jawad does not know about this holiday. So he will be expected the following year to be really on top of it in 2026.
Well, we are recording this early in the morning, so maybe I can text him a little reminder.
Sometimes you need friends to remind your husbands and wives of things, okay? Just keep that in mind, everybody. Anyway, so it is the Lovers' Day. Sant Dionysius has several
or
names.
English Dionysus, yeah.
Dionysius is the patron saint of lovers and is celebrated, interestingly, only in Valencia. This is not a Spain-wide holiday, and it is a public holiday since 1982. and it is celebrated in only the provinces, like I said, which is Valencia, Castellón, and Alicante. And obviously, as we said before, it overlaps beautifully with October 9th. So we get this double holiday on this day, and it is just festivals, and we'll get into that later. But you can talk a little bit about the gifts and things that are given. If you're lucky enough to have someone give you something, this is what you get.
I mean, I know about the tradition, but I would have received them anyway because it's for the females, right? It's for, but as the homosexual community, I wonder if we're giving them to each other. I don't know.
I think so, and I don't know if this is a family thing too, like Valentine's Day, where maybe some of these things are just given. Because I mean,
like you give them to your kids or your mother,
maybe,
or something.
Because these sweets are everywhere. I mean, the center of the aisle in the grocery store is now all marzipan. They just put up little extra tables to cover all the marzipan that's going to get sold. This cannot only be for people giving. It must just be, hey, here's one for the table, here's one for your house, here's one for grandma, here's one for your kid. Like, it has to be given to everybody at this point, I think.
Right. But how it's presented to your lover,
yes,
is supposed to be, the men are supposed to wrap them in a silk scarf, the marzipan in the silk scarf. So it's two gifts in one. You get a lovely scarf to last forever, and the marzipan to last a moment, right?
Which is lovely. No, I think it's really, I love marzipan. So I know it's also not for everybody, but you will find them in all different shapes, like fruits, and they make just little squares, and it's not always just marzipan. Sometimes, and
like vegetables too.
Vegetables,
like
yes.
Candy shaped, like a bell pepper. You're like, okay.
I think everything, and it's supposed to symbolize I think just general abundance, I think, with the fruit and vegetables. And they do marzipan in the fruit and vegetables, but they also do these, they're like little mini cakes, I think, or something that have, so it's not like marzipan, but it's marzipan in the middle, and it's sort of little squares.
But they kind of look to me, those little cakes, those things that represent like fertility. Those, is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about
those
the
little
smaller
bread things,
ones. They have the big ones, but I think the smaller ones are versions of the big ones you're talking about. Explain those.
And it kind of looks like challah bread on the outside to me.
Yeah. So it's kind of bready. It's basically a cooked version of marzipan in some ways. So I think they've mixed it with flour, and then the very, very middle is a bit marzipan-y, but the outside is a bit more cakey bready, and it's cooked. And then you have the pure marzipan that is the fruits and vegetables, and those come in beautiful little, see-through packaging where you can see them all, and it's super, super cute. Yeah.
It's also really interesting because this brings it back to the October 9th, how all these two holidays have been intertwined since the get-go, is that the reason why this tradition started is because in 1733, the Bourbons were ruling Valencia at that time, and they were celebrating the 500th anniversary, and the Bourbons outlawed fireworks. And what they now did with the treats and the silk scarf is that you tie them to look like firecrackers. So it's so a baker did it out of protest that said, you know what, you won't give us our fireworks, we're gonna give our lovers things that look like fireworks.
There you go. If anyone knows anything about the Spanish, especially this part of Spain, you don't take away that fireworks.
No, you don't.
And I don't think that lasted very long, because now we have both. We have the firework shaped marzipan and the fireworks and the mascletas and the firecrackers. So, they come back and forth.
Right. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's so Spanish, right? Like, they protested through passion.
Yes,
right?
There you go. I like that.
We're just gonna make love and show our lovers that we love them.
Yes. I love that. So that is kind of the sort of the history of those two holidays. Should we look at the celebrations and how that comes together for a day?
So we know the meaning, which isn't relevant to how we celebrate. So I will say it's going to be a huge shock that there are fireworks.
Yes.
For this event. So it starts the night before on October 8th at 11:59, midnight basically. But they have a 20-minute firework display on the Monte Olivete Bridge, which spans the Torrilla Park. So it's really quite beautiful because you can see it up and down a big expanse of the Torrilla. Like, you can really see it and be a mile away, you're still you can bear witness.
We can see it from up here. So yeah, that's
right.
miles and miles. But that is technically October 9th because it's happening at the very last minute of October 8th, and it's probably running
Right.
late. So that's also is for sure happening on October 9th, just very, very early.
They never, I will say, they never run late.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I have yet to see a fireworks start late. Like they give you a 10-minute warning bomb and then a 5-minute warning bomb and then
it's off.
It's like, gird your loins, kids, it's starting.
And then you have the processions, which is just, there's always a procession, and they have the procession of the Senyera, which is the flag, and they have the Moors and the Christian parades, and this is where people dress up as both. And you've been to one of these parades, I haven't.
Yeah, so I've been with the Senyera parade is where they take it down from City Hall and they bring it down versus carrying it through the City Hall. They actually bring it down from the balcony, if that makes sense. And they parade it through the streets. And I've been to that parade, and it's horses and traditional dress and solemnness as well. It's not like a party parade, right? Okay. It's music and marching and stuff. And then what we did is then we followed the parade into the town square for the 2 p.m. Mascleta, which was...
Oh, that's nice. Pretty, And is the Moors and the amazing Christian parade part of that parade, or is that a separate parade?
Well, I'll put it this way. I don't know, because if it was part of that parade, we didn't see that part.
Okay. But you saw people dressed up, but there is, I guess, because I've heard that I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, that parade of the Moors and the Christians, they're kind of parading, but also kind of simulating some of the fighting or some of the things sort of as the parade is going.
Someone had mentioned to me that I think it is a different thing.
Maybe a different thing.
And they mentioned it's not a battle. It's like they sweep them out of town.
Right. There you go. Yeah. And then there's floral offerings, which is quite common. We also have that in the Fias. If you've listened to our Fias episode, you'll know about the floral offerings and love of flowers that they have here for different things. And then
and that flag is paraded around it parades around the city and stops by the statue of King James, and I think that's where they do a flower offering. Yeah. And
then obviously lots of traditional dress and everything. And then one of the things that I've experienced, and it varies from place to place, is they always do have the medieval markets going. They have one in the Toria that I've been to a couple of times. I will say that one was less of a medieval market. If you've been to a Renaissance fair in America, this doesn't really compare to that.
Does not at all. I will say we were suspect of the authenticity when my youngest said, "Dad, was Ryan Reynolds around during the Middle Ages? Because why is there a painting of him here?"
So,
and I said, yes. Well, I think you might be right.
Yeah, that's a good point. I will say it's fun. Like, we've been there, it's fun. In the one in the city that we've been to twice has been exactly the same. There's a lot of kiosks for food, so you can go and sort of have lunch, and then they have loads of kiosks where you can buy cheese and bread and sweets and jewelry and some things. And those kiosks are the same kiosks that I found in a load of other festival sort of market things. It's the same people selling the same things. This one, they just have a few banners that look a bit different. We went to a medieval market in Castellón, and I will say that was a lot more medieval. It was fun. They had in the town square there, they had a whole bunch of sort of old-fashioned games set up that the kids could play, which was really, really fun. So they had a whole area for that. They did have a little procession that was going on and sort of continued to sort of go on around the market. And that procession had all sorts of people dressed in different things, including people on stilts and things that were more kind of fun, but also people dressed medievally in medieval gear. And that one was had a lot more kind of oomph to it as far as it being a medieval market versus just a market. So I would recommend heading up there if anyone has a car and they can do it, because that was fun. Was that during
the October 9th then as well?
Yeah, it was, because I think they're going on everywhere. So some of them are going to be better and different than others, but the one in the city was very fun. We went with friends, we had lunch, we browsed around. It was very fun. It just wasn't I've been to a Renaissance fair in America, and that's a whole experience. And
that's a cult. That's a whole the people that are involved in that's their life.
Right. But that creates an environment where you have some people that it's their life and they're in it, and other people coming to look. And it's fun kind of for both,
Right.
and you kind of really get into that. And I would say it's nothing like that, really. It's much more, it's a
Right.
bit more fun and a little bit
Yeah.
little. Anyway, but definitely worth checking out especially if you just happen to be around, I would say.
I think so. And I think that wraps up October 9th. So if you're here, we hope we've filled you in on some things to do.
Yeah, with a mix of history, pride, and even a little romance on October 9th. We hope you enjoy it, and we hope you enjoyed our Poco A Poco about it.
Until next time, Tanya.
Until next time.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Our Spain Poco A Poco. Since you love us so much, please do go on to our social media and follow us and like us and subscribe where you're listening, because it really does help us to grow and stick around and do what we are very much enjoying doing.
And, give us a shout out on the social medias. Give us a comment on what you would like to hear us talk about. I mean, we like to hear ourselves speak, but we do want to make this, informative for our listeners.
Absolutely, yeah. You can comment on one of our posts, or you can send us a message through our Spain Facebook page or Instagram. So we would love to hear from you.
Yes, we would. Till the next episode.
Bye.